Hi, this is Vinay Modi. In my previous video, I analyzed IFT as an exam. In this video, my endeavor is to analyze XAT, Xavier Aptitude Test, through which one can actually aspire for a multitude of management exams focusing on XLRI, XIM Bhubaneswar, Goa Institution of Management and various other institutions. And then I would like to take a dispassionate look at TISS also, one of the most celebrated institutions in India and maybe worldwide, which focuses on absolutely different approach. To begin with, let me talk about XAT, Xavier Aptitude Test. This is something which is absolutely parallel to CAT exam, and I don't know, there is something very unique about XAT. People who don't make it to IIMs at times, or those who don't get called from IIMs, they actually get called from XLRI. Now, I'm not saying that if you don't get a call from IIM, everybody is going to get, but somehow there is this apparent dichotomy that I've seen. Just out of the box thinking came to my mind, wanted to share with you. Look at the pattern. And that uniqueness has been going on since ages. You know, this is one institution or one exam which understood the importance of essay, and they have been maintaining it for long. Last year's essay writing topic was very unique, absolutely contemporary and relevant because it actually focused on ethics and sustainability. And of course, very unique topics have been there in the past, like ships are safer in the harbor, but they are not meant for the same, or Stockholm syndrome. And of course, something which is very intriguing and excitable, but the disappointing part is that there are two parts of the exam. The first part focuses on three broad sections. One of them is very unique section, which is decision making. Again, something which is based on intuition, logic, balancing, and being very prompt in making choices. Those who have that innate understanding of managerial process, they actually enjoy this section. Then there are people who get completely baffled because they are looking at absolutely knowledge-driven answer, which is not going to come. So individuals who are good at human relations, who are good at situational response, those who are good at optimizing and balancing out, they can actually strike out right choices by eliminating options. Having said that, other two areas, verbal ability. It's a very unique exam because verbal ability is absolutely inference oriented. It's very indirect. You will not see direct vocabulary questions. There could be an exception, but the focus would be on comprehension, focus would be on reasoning and language, and the focus would be on your inference capability. The third part, the data part or the number part, again, is not very easy. Rather, it favors people who have very strong balance between number and logic. But the best part about it is those who can actually keep their cool and those who can hang on to the exam and the pattern, they will have the last laugh because the cutoffs are low. The intensity of question is not such that people can have very high cutoffs in this paper. And then you move on to the next section, which has 40 minutes. So 170 plus 40, it's a long paper. Something that I was talking about, stamina, endurance is going to be counting a lot. 40 minutes, there are two different aspects. General knowledge, which was never part of XAT 2 years back, has been a very integral part of XAT now with essay writing. So you have to really try and divide time according to your understanding. I'm talking about the next part. Now, a lot of people think that since marks are, because evaluation will take place when people get their calls, as far as second part is concerned. But my take is, be very clear. These are very smart people. They actually have some reason that they have actually not done or they have not gone for adding marks at the written level. Essay writing is a challenge, so don't take it lightly that since marks are not counted, I'm going to write essay and just get away with this. I think one needs to focus on social issues which are very sensitive for environment, universe, like corporate governance, like sustainability, like globalization, all economic ideologies like capitalism, socialism, communism, and Indian economy, gap between rich and poor, and women empowerment, technology disruption. These are issues that, for example, this year Brexit or WTO losing its relevance, or the threat of global war or trade war looming large. These could be very important issues this year. General knowledge again is absolutely different because majority of the questions are static, and then there is this focus on contemporary GK. So when I say static GK, it's a very diverse focus. World War or geography, questions based on economic ideologies, questions based on who's who or conflicts worldwide. So very interesting GK that you can actually have understanding of in terms of XAT. So overall, I would say if you're writing XAT, you need to be prepared for a relatively tough and a very interesting exam where cutoffs are not going to be high, but real balance will have to be struck. If you are one of those, you will really enjoy it. Moving on to one of the most celebrated exams in India, TISS NET. It was not online paper till about 2 years back, but now since it's online, the focus has to be completely driven by that. Incidentally, a lot of people who fear mathematics, for them TISS NET is like a boon, because TISS has a very clear understanding of what it is looking at in terms of future students. So it's never a maths heavy paper. It's not a data heavy paper. Rather, it's a very, very sensitive paper, I would say, which focuses more on logic, basic logic, and your understanding of language. And that's why this paper, and they know that this is not the only threshold barrier that they have to create. So they have essay writing and then they have personal interviews. So weightage is 40%, 30%, 30%. So in terms of 40% weightage, you are judged on the basis of language, logic, and general awareness. Maths, in terms of maths, is not isolated section. Language is completely diverse. Like in SNAP, you'll have synonyms, antonyms, fill in the blanks, reading comprehension, idioms and phrases, phrasal verb. So one needs to really have very diverse orientation towards TISS exam, and then crack language part. Not exceptionally tough, manageable. General knowledge focus a lot on social indices like Human Development Index, like Corruption Perception Index, like inflationary tendencies, worldwide gap between, and of course, let's say government schemes, awards, international awards for social welfare, peace prizes, peace award, Nobel Prize. So that kind of question, and then some parameters or maybe certain changes which have taken place. That's what GK that you will find in terms of TISS. If you are really focused and sure that you will be able to go further, start writing essays and start preparing social indices. For example, write on women empowerment. For example, write on sustainable development. For example, write on let's say green globalization, warming. So that's something that you need to really focus at, and try to focus on the exams and the verticals that you have, because they don't give you MBA degree, they give you MA degree, and subjects or the domains are very, very contemporary, very unique, right from social entrepreneurship to media and culture studies to MA in human resource to counseling. So one needs to really pick his or her choice and then make a very clear orientation. So if you are really focusing on these two exams, then don't write just for the heck of it. Analyze last 5-6 years paper and digest those. I can assure you it will be a big change for you. And of course, at the end, this exam called SNAP, wherein so many students are going to write this exam, because 15 colleges are there under umbrella brand called SNAP, and almost 2,000 seats are there. So it's a very big challenge, but not absolutely impossible. There are going to be 150 marks, 150 questions, 2 hours paper. And in 150, that's the last year's pattern, and very conventional in terms of 4 sections: general knowledge, language, logic, and maths. And general knowledge also last year's GK or this year's GK, because they clearly write the 2 years GK. So more of current GK, of business GK, wherein CEOs, head of the institutions, business terms, conflicts, what's happening in the world. And of course, last year the GK was tricky, not very easy as it had been in the past, wherein questions were very diverse, even science, a lot of questions based on science, geography, and policy decisions. So people would have to be really good at reading newspaper. If you are reading newspaper and you are daily, or you are absolutely focused in terms of it, I think nothing can stop you in terms of this exam. Data interpretation and reading comprehension would be a challenge, because they are very tricky, not very easy. People think that they are easy, but then one has to really practice a lot before actually they get into it. And of course, last year's exam clearly suggested the cutoff was low. So don't give up. You have 15 institutions, and there are institutions which can call you even at lower cutoff. So keep that margin in mind and prepare for these exams. With this, we are almost coming to the end of the entire series. I'm sure these videos have added immense value, and if you've really liked these videos, I would like you to actually give me the feedback so that I'm inspired to add more value. Wait and hang on for some time, because let's say in 15 days, 20 days times, or maybe next 1 month, I'm going to bring the entire personality orientation for you, and will focus on nuances of group discussion, person interview, contemporary issues, case studies, role play, whatever. So I think it's going to be very exciting. It was absolutely exciting for me this time as well, sharing my thoughts with you. Thank you so much. All the best.